We're going live. We're live on tape.
Woohoo! All right.
So I wanted to ask you this kind of first question of the evening. That 2021 tops. I heard it's a pretty hot commodity,
That's what they
and
say.
that's what they say. That's what the interwebs say. So you said you stumbled upon some. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. I did. I
Have
did. In
you have
fact,
you opened up what? Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, no, I did. It's funny that I'm the one talking about this because like nobody thinks about me looking at modern cards. But last year I opened up a bunch and I kind of
Mhm.
enjoyed it. And I've been following what's going on. And yeah, I happened to be in Target. I want to say sometime early last week, and I've kind of given up on looking, just like everybody else. But
Sure.
I happened to walk by one of the shelves, and it was completely stocked. Like it looked like maybe the person had just done it like 5 minutes before. And I was like, "Holy crap! There are baseball cards. It's like a mirage." So
So is that the part where you just went through and just took everything and just knocked it into your cart?
in my head, I imagined that. Yeah, I definitely like thought about doing it. Um,
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't even know all the designations. They had like the hanger packs, they had the boxes, and it was everything. It was like it was totally stocked. And I definitely texted a bunch of people. You heard about it, and
Sure.
um, and I ended up getting like two hanger packs and one of the boxes. I don't even know what the boxes are called. Um,
The blaster boxes.
yeah, that's it. The blaster box. Yeah,
Um,
and I kind of felt bad for taking those, but I also was like, man, I'm a chicken. I should have grabbed a lot more because you feel bad about it, but you also know that the next guy is just going to grab all of it. Like most people are not being kind to each other. They're just grabbing whatever they want to grab. I don't know. So I grabbed three, and I had fun opening them, but the other side of the story is I was just at Target today, and of course the shelves are empty, and in their place are these giant signs that I'm sure everybody else is seeing around the country, which is like, due to high demand, you are only allowed to grab three tops products or something like that. So my store had not had those signs before, but now they're up because I'm sure like right after I left, there was like a WrestleMania event on the Target floor.
right. So my next question, I guess, is: did you get anything good out of those three boxes?
You know, um, I can't really say that there was anything that was like mind blowing. I mean, I found good stuff that was like fun, like PC stuff for people I know. Like I put some stuff aside for different people I would send them, but like there wasn't anything like worth freaking out about. Yeah,
Sure.
that's the thing about that stuff is like I opened up a lot of product last year just for fun, and the majority of the like breaking I didn't end up with anything huge. Like I don't remember like a handful of times did I end up with something that was like worth writing home about. Most of the time it was just whatever. It wasn't anything exciting.
Right.
So I can understand. Not only is it hard to come by now, but when you do get it, it's like it's hard to get the hit that you're hoping for.
So let me ask you this: as somebody who's like more of an observer than a participator of this type of um, phenomenon, that we find ourselves in and whatnot. I have this is my hot take, and let me see it. Follow me here and see what your thought is. Is that you alluded to it already? That you opened up a product last year and this year. You've had some cool stuff, but nothing that's gonna like mind altering like experience you're gonna have that you're like blowing up the interwebs about something that you hit right.
Yeah.
But and like you said, now people are spending more time looking, missing, finally catching, probably at a higher amount of money than they would have normally because they're paying a premium.
Yeah.
Or they're just biting the bullet and just paying more and skipping the middleman or whatever and just going right to the horse's mouth or right to the teat and get it directly from the source.
Right.
And then, with that being said, is with all that time, effort, money, blood, sweat, tears, whatever you want to call it, that when they're finally opening it, they have to convince themselves that this was a good box.
Right.
This was a good break. This was a great card to hit, because it is becoming, I think, more and more, to me, of a hassle than it is for it to be fun.
Yeah.
And so you have to now create this moment in your mind that says, wow, this was great. This was a great experience. This was well worth the money, the time, the effort, whatever. And because you're not really finding, I mean, yeah, if you rip a product and there's a Nolan Ryan autograph looking back at you, well, today is a good day in the words of Ice Cube. But that's not usually the case. So we have this fake excitement now that we have to create for ourselves, and we even convince ourselves that this was a great experience or a great break. But in real life, are you really happy that you spent $120 on a hobby box and you cracked it open and you got a John Kruk rookie or autograph out of the box, or you got some like fourth tier pitcher autograph or some like some jockstrap relic card of some no-name player? I mean, like, honestly, So I mean, what's your thoughts kind of about that? Do you think I'm like, I'm out of turn with that, or do you think there is something to that?
No, there definitely is. I'm sure, like, and it's funny because I'm not in a position to really talk about it because I don't know it the way that somebody does that collects this way, but I have enjoyed it. And what I would say is opening cards has always been a bit of a lottery ticket. Like, you enjoy it, but you also you're hoping for something cool to happen. You're hoping for there to be a certain rookie card or a certain, 1 of 5 or whatever it is. But you also are not like bummed if it doesn't happen. Like, you still enjoy opening the packs and you can share some cards with friends or whatever. But now it's like whatever other element that you actually enjoyed about opening packs is like almost gone. It's just a lottery ticket, and it's an expensive lottery ticket at that. So it's like, okay, I have to kill myself just to get a box, spend way too much money on it. And then if nothing's in that pack or that box, I'm going to be really pissed off because, I've spent all this time and money and effort just to get it. And
Right.
I can see why people are pissed off, not to mention, like, so many people genuinely do just want to open it because it's fun to open it. And, maybe they want to get a pack for their kid or whatever, and like, that's all gone, it seems to me.
And it's go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Well, the reason why it's cool because we can segue right into here. I've never seen this gentleman before. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. Monsters of the Midway '85. He popped in. This is his. I don't know if you see his statement, but he said, my son likes to collect football and baseball cards. He likes to open packs. People buying up all the packs lately has taken the fun out of the hobby for him, which has been like the problem I've had from the beginning of all this, like what we've all said, And then he follows it up with, "I'm afraid that greed will kill the hobby in the future." And I mean, I think there's a lot to say to that, and I appreciate your comment, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, man. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if you were here right when Alex was talking, but Alex made a mention of, as soon as he left, I mean, there was all this product set that he picked up a couple boxes himself. He left a lot of it there, of course. But then he already knows as soon as he walks out the door, there's going to be probably some fisticuffs in the aisles at Target and Walmart and Meijer and everywhere else. Because everybody's trying to grab everything because no one wants to be decent anymore about it. They want to be greedy, and they don't think about anybody but themselves because they think, well, I could take this $20 box and turn it into a $50 box or a $60 or an $80 or whatever. And, and really at the end of the day, there's no one to blame but ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's a double-edged sword. I don't like flipping. I don't like the idea of people just flipping stuff. But at the same time, am I part of the problem? Sure. I've bought cards from people all the time that on eBay or on, Facebook or here on YouTube and auctions. and I'm helping feed the beast. So I'm just as much as guilty of it as everybody. I'm not the one in the aisles, in a knockdown, drag out fight with other grown men, because that's just ridiculous. But I'm participating in the aspect of it. I mean, it sucks, but it's like, for me, I'm not willing to deal with that, because I'm the kind of person who'll go to jail because I can't control myself. I know who I am, and if I saw somebody push the kid out of the way, or I got pushed out of the way, and I'm trying to grab one blaster box, and I would have been completely content with my $20 blaster box, and some dude strong arms me, I'm gonna shove a Pokeball down somebody's throat and be like, I gotta catch them all.
Right.
And I mean, I can't, and I think and that takes the fun out of it if you're a father or a mother and you're taking your kid there, and they even witness that with their own eyes, or they see, like you said, when you went back the next day, a completely barren shelf or shelves, and there's nothing there for a kid. And if you go to a hobby store, it's even worse because it's more expensive, and it's you can't hardly find so now you're spending $3-4 a pack for like what, 10 cards or 12 cards or whatever. And what we talked about a moment ago, for like probably nothing to get excited about. It's just and I mean, I do think the bottom's going to fall out of it. I know that I was talking to Bob today, and he said that he had heard from, I don't know, some of those movers and shakers, some of the influencers, there's like another couple-year window on this, and then the bottom drops out.
Right.
So, I mean, the bottom has to drop out. When is that going to happen? I don't know, but there's no way it can sustain itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing that really sucks about it is, even when we were growing up, there were people that were spending a lot of money on baseball cards. There was such a thing as like baseball card shows, and people that were investing a lot of money in cards and going for, rare cards and whatever else. But you didn't necessarily know about that when you were a kid. I mean, part of it was because we didn't have the internet when we were a kid, so that was a huge part of it. But also, like, I feel like there was like this shield that kids had. It's like, okay, it's still a kid's hobby. That you can still go to the store and enjoy getting cards and get into it just because you like baseball or you like a player or whatever. And you also like the part about collecting, but you weren't necessarily thinking about like the financial market or whatever else. So it was like, you could enjoy it as an adult, but it was still a kid's hobby. And I feel like that's almost gone, unfortunately, or at least the way that people are behaving right now. It's like, it's not a hobby. It's like the stock market. And like, we're not really thinking about baseball cards because they're nostalgic or because we care about baseball. We think about them because we might make some money. And, unless the kids are interested in that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with like a kid being interested in learning about investing and whatever else, but like a kid that just wants to get baseball cards, like that kid, I feel bad for that kid. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think now, I mean, humans have always been humans. Like, this is not like this is some kind of change, but I do feel like right now is a time in American history where there is like so much selfishness and only looking out for me that I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? So like you're saying, like we grew up in the 80s and the 90s. We saw, grown men buying baseball cards and investing or whatever you want to call it back then. But it wasn't to this level. There was still like kindness and people like thinking about others and thinking about, like, hey, let's not be a complete douchebag here. For every one guy that was like that, you had 9 other guys that were good dudes. You know what I'm saying? So, but now it's like you have 9 dudes that are douchebags. You have one decent guy in the mix. And it's it's completely different. And so, that takes definitely the joy out of it. Which brings me to what I was going to bring up to you was that I was talking to Bob today, and it's weird because I've been feeling like this for probably about a month and a half, 2 months now, and it's not been in any one particular situation. I think it's been a culmination of just listening to a lot of people talk, people that I respect, people that I enjoy, channels that I might not even like talk to other people about, but I just happen to watch or catch, Sure. Those are, lots of different talking heads, and I have felt like just overwhelmed. And like, and just feel like the joy of the hobby has been sucked out of it for me, right now. Yeah. And it's really been that way for a year, basically at this point, but it's definitely been like that for the last 6 to 8 months.
Yep.
And, but I still want to do like, I think it's kind of funny. Garrett, a card cutter, he does this hashtag my hobby, like whatever that is, whatever that means to you. And and I think that even though the simplicity of that might be like a joke to some people, but at the same time, I think it's true. You've always done your thing, Alex. I think it's cool that sure, you like to open products for kicks and giggles. I mean, you'll flip and open up a box of or a pack of 2021, and then you go buy yourself a Jackie Robinson 55. I mean, it's like what day ends in a Y. That's the day you're picking to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not influenced by what's going on around you. You're just sticking to what you do. Hey, what's going on? I'm sorry. Listen, Scotty's in here. Scotty Tradition. What's up, brother? I'm glad there are no douches here. Yeah. Well, don't, Scott, you stay long enough. Maybe I'll surprise you. Hey, what up, Falsey? Yeah, like he was saying, it takes one D-bag to ruin everything. But I mean, so what have you felt at all as a person that's kind of on the outside looking in? Have you felt at all a little bit like even you felt like overwhelmed with what everybody else is talking about or what you're seeing from everybody else, even though you're not really caught up in it, like the chase? But have you felt like that at all by being exposed to it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, for when this all started, I definitely felt like all the vintage guys felt like, well, it sucks to be into modern, but now vintage has to deal with it too. Like all the prices are crazy, like up and down the board. So it doesn't matter what you're into in this hobby at this point, whether you like breaking modern stuff or you like vintage cards, you're feeling it. And I see it all over the place, whether it's like, somebody on YouTube saying, hey, I'm going to like slow down. I don't know how much more I'm going to collect, or just people texting and saying, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be looking at vintage cards for a while, and I'll see, like, kind of wait it out. I know one guy's just like, I'm out. Like I saw a post, I don't remember where, he's like, I'm done. Like I'm leaving the hobby. Like peace out, everybody. Like he's seriously like, this is it, which is sad. And I can totally empathize with anybody that feels that way, because how can you not feel that way? Like the hobby that is supposed to be fun, that's supposed to be about like hunting down cards to complete some goal that you have, suddenly that card is worth like a freaking yacht, like how are you supposed to have fun when every card you look at is completely impossible to get?
Yeah, I mean, and it takes the fun away from it, from even base cards, like Midway was saying here. And I don't know, Midway, if you want to give me your first name instead of me having to call you like Midway 85, whatever it was. But he's saying like back when we were kids, and I agree, investors were investing like in high end cards. People were going after that. They weren't going after that base top packs. They weren't opening up every single base top pack in the world. They're going after high end cards. They're like trying to look for they get the Griffies or whatever, stuff like that. They weren't just like ripping nonstop packs. They were like buying individual cards. But now what I think is happening is that, to your point, is that even if you're a PC collector, if you're just like a set collector, it's getting to a point now that even just regular cards are getting pricey. Like regular just base all-star or star cards. You know what I'm saying? Just like a regular Mike Trout. Just a Mike Trout. Nothing special about it, but people just want to get them off. Just like they're going up. Just a regular Tatis, a regular Aaron Judge, a regular Freddie Freeman, whatever. Fill in the blank, right? Kershaw, whatever.
Yeah.
Like everybody's putting a premium on their cards because they think they can make money. All right, hey Steve, what's up, buddy? Thanks. But don't you think there's something to that as well? Like you said, like even the regular cards now are like, people are starting to like try to track down and hold on to because they think maybe, this guy's gonna blow up, so I'm gonna get all of his cards.
I've given up trying to make sense of it. It doesn't make any sense. Like some of the prices are not, they're not even funny. They're ridiculous. They don't make sense. And I think it's absurd. And I don't know what's more absurd, the price that people put on them or the fact that people actually buy them at that price, whatever it is, whether it's modern or vintage. Like some of this stuff is crazy. And I see crazier and crazier posts every day. Like, hey, everybody, look at this. What's sold for, $25,000, and it's like some 93 junk wax card or something. Like doesn't make any sense. So I've given up on like trying to figure it out. But I also feel like, to me, I would be I think it would suck to give up on the hobby because of it. I think there's still a way for it to be a hobby. Like, I'm not going to pay those prices, that's for sure. But I am going to try to like find cards that I can appreciate at reasonable prices and just keep going, because I still like the things that I like about the hobby are, you know, the cards, the history, baseball, the teams, the players, and just learning about all that stuff and enjoying the cards too. And if I can find a way to do that without, you know, having to buy a house in the process, I think there's still a way to do it.
Well, you know, like I was talking to Bob today, and when I talk to you guys are a little bit more paying attention, maybe a little bit more, or like you kind of keep your eye and ear out more for just kind of like maybe trends that are going in, or like you and I in a group text with a couple of guys, and a lot of people will post things in there. I was talking to Bob today, and he sat there and said, and this is a crazy thing, that there is there is considered a Luke Skywalker rookie card, from the 1977 set that's going for like close to $10,000, sold for $10,000, and apparently there's like one that somebody has listed for $40K on there and stuff like that. Now I don't know if that's what it's going to end up selling for or anything, but I'm like, now we're making up fake rookie cards for fake characters that aren't even real.
Yeah.
And it's like mind-boggling. Like, it's like these people are just kind of like throwing anything against the wall that's going to stick. And how many schmucks go running for it, running off into the ocean, off the cliff, looking for these things. It's like, like the Naomi Osaka, she wins she won a world, another Wimbledon or, Australia Open or whatever. I mean, like, her cards are going through the roof. I mean, she's like, she's had like 2 good experiences, and people are like spending tens of thousands of dollars now on her cards.
Right.
And I'm like, she's like 25 years old or something. She's a youngster or whatever. And there's people are like, people will just like go gravitate towards anything at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I like Luke's second-year card more than his rookie card.
I like his Return of the Jedi card the most because it was like it was all black and whatever.
Yeah,
we got somebody. We got another heavy hitter. Another heavy hitter. Here we go.
Talk about nostalgic about baseball. There.
What up?
What's up, brother?
Yeah.
And I go ahead, Andy.
But these things are.
Oh God! Here we got the LaCroix brothers. Maybe I should leave, and you all can share a tampon together.
What do we?
So I mean, kind of what I don't know if you all caught what Scott said, but I kind of agree with him. It's like right now, he's like, I'm just sitting back and kind of appreciating what I already have. And I think you kind of almost have to be that way right now, because it's just like if you can't appreciate what you have, you're probably going to go crazy because of things are just getting ridiculous more and more every day. And the thing I've kind of come into, and I've been kind of, I think some of you all have been watching my channel for a while, might have noticed this. I've been picking up some wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
I've been picking up wrestling. And I feel like right now for me, that's been like where I've been enjoying going. Like I've been buying lots of wrestling recently.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that it's probably going to be headed that direction like everything else. Like eventually people will come to that and say, let me start buying up all that too.
Right.
But to me, it's been fun doing that. Going back, nostalgia, 80s and 90s, picking up stuff. And I'm like, but I mean, I think that, it's hard to enjoy right now because of the complete ludicrous of it all. I don't know. How do you stay sane, Andy, during all of this?
You know what? I think there's I don't know. I like to play devil's advocate, first of all, but things are crazy, but I think there's opportunities, and I think stuff's just moving around so much right now. Like if something that you want is way overpriced, like just wait a week. I have one example, the Shaq that I graded, like the day before I got it back from SGC started going for like $1,500. And now just a few days later, it's down to like $800. And I mean, it may go down to back down to $300. But it's just like these little waves. And I mean, I think that, I don't know. I think if you're patient, you can still find stuff, but I don't know. I don't think there's really that many people paying $20 for like commons that they shouldn't be, as we think there are. And I think there's like just a lot more people trying to capitalize on the hype than people actually shelling out the dough for it. That's just a new perspective that I kind of got today when I saw what that Shaq price did. And then I started looking at some other things too. I'm like, prices like go way up and then they kind of come back down to earth. Hank Aaron's come back down to earth a lot. And now what's weird is that like Willie Mays cards have gone up. So like the Hank Aaron spike didn't last really long. It's like it went almost immediately from that to like who's going to die next, what crazy crap can happen next. And like Willie Mays prices went kind of more crazy than Hank Aaron's did. So, I mean, it just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But like if I had been patient, I probably could have, still picked up that rookie. It just wouldn't have been as cool of a story as the way I got it, the day of, the moment of. But I don't know. I kind of think that like, I think this is also how a market acts before the bubble just totally busts, It's like this weird zigzags in the graph and like, I don't even know. But, the regular market's doing that too. So who knows? Maybe it's just part of the larger trend.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can still find stuff I like to buy though, and I'll tell you the other thing is I'm very thankful that I'm grading the cards now and selling them because I actually just really enjoy the process, and I'm buying a lot of stuff that, quite frankly, like I never would buy for myself. So it's a way. It's the only thing that allows me now to keep kind of buying and looking for cards because otherwise I just in a lot of cases I just couldn't buy. I couldn't justify things for myself at the prices right this moment. So I'm lucky to still be having something to do.
Yeah, I would say like I agree with you, Andy. I think like most of us have stuff that's in our list of like our want list or whatever. If you wanted to, you could look at your list and you could say, okay, like these are my Holy Grail cards or whatever. And for most of us, our Holy Grail cards are like totally unattainable right now because of how crazy things are. But there's probably also stuff on everybody's list that is like more reasonable because for whatever reason, it hasn't had a spotlight thrown on it yet. So you can still get it and it's not $500,000 or whatever. So, you gotta go for that stuff now if you want to keep going. And, like Jason's saying, like going after wrestling cards, like my version of that would be like autographed baseballs. I haven't touched autographed baseballs for, I don't know, 6 months or so. And I'm thinking like maybe now's a good time to get back into that because the market has not gone crazy in that part. So,
yeah, it is nuts, man. I mean, but you're right. Like focus on the stuff that you can kind of shoot for. And I had another something I was going to add there, but it's already zipped out of my mind. So it'll come back to me eventually.
Well, go ahead.
I had a cool card. My wrestling collection is Population 1, and it's an Andre the Giant, and it's awesome. I wish I had more of them.
Yeah, Andre the Giant, that's my boy. That's my favorite wrestler of all time. When I was a kid, I loved Andre. But to kind of go back to what you both were saying, but Alex mentioned is that if you're willing to look for good deals, they're still out there. You're obviously talking about being patient as well, Andy. I mean that's something I've been talking about a long time on my channel. I mean, first of all, my channel is mostly me, being a budget collector, anyways. Looking for the good deals of being patient or whatever. And the one cool thing is, I mean, for me, this is a cool. I got this card in the mail today, and I thought this card would go for a lot more. But again, being patient, and I might say this like some of the greatest pull in the entire life off of eBay or whatnot. But I was able to get this Ichiro Diamond Anniversary for $3.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's great, man.
I think for me, that's a big deal.
There's an opportunity there. I bought a Clayton Kershaw one for like $5 one time, and I don't know why the rest of them don't go as crazy as the Freddie Freeman did there for a second. I think that's an awesome little pickup. I love those things.
Yeah, and I mean, you can definitely keep looking, like you said. I mean, there's got to be patient, and I enjoy doing it. $3 shipped. I'll do that all day long on an Ichiro, on a card that's pretty unique in itself, but definitely of a PC that I got. But Have you? Let me ask you, Andy, because I know maybe Alex isn't so much doing this, but I know you're slapping lots of cards. Do you look at your own collection right now, or maybe your not your PC, but cards that you own? Do you look at those cards in a different way right now? You're like, I need to get this card graded because this card graded right now is going to help me get card A, B, and C that I don't have the funds for. And you might not have been doing that a year ago, but now you're looking like this card here. I'm okay with getting this card graded and out the door because it's going to give me the money I need for later.
Yeah, so I have two things. First, I remembered, Alex, what I was going to say, because you mentioned like something that the spotlight hasn't gotten to yet. And I guess what I was getting at is like there's also like when the spotlight goes away, things have been kind of settling down. I think people get too greedy, and then there's like that point where everybody realizes, whoa, people are being way too greedy, and just stop buying it, and then the price gradually goes back down. So it's just like these weird fluctuations. But for me, Jason, what you were saying, this just happened yesterday. I had a Chipper Jones 10 in my collection, which I bought for like $25 or $30 a year ago, and it was selling for like $160 something, and I actually sold mine for $180. But I've already bought the replacement PSA 9 for $25. So I traded my, I bought a 9 and sold my 10, and like ended up plus $120 on the whole deal. So I am doing stuff like that. I've done a few things like that. But yeah, man, because I put my 1990 score Bo Jackson for sale. That's another example because I bought that card for $20 and it's selling for $200. So like, I mean, it's an awesome card, and I have a raw one. Like, do I need one in a plastic case? No, I'd rather have $200. I mean, for stuff like that, I just know that it's not worth that much. There's a million of them, so it doesn't make any. That's the part where I'm like, nah, this doesn't make any sense, and it shouldn't be this way. And I'm gonna downgrade or whatever. And I'm pretty confident that card will be 20 to at least under $50 again. Like, it's no way it's going to stay where it's at. So,
are you talking about the bow with the football pads and the baseball bat?
Yeah. That's not
that's what you're talking about.
$200? You got to be kidding me, man. Talking about a 9. That's nuts. So.
Yeah, I mean, and even though I think it's, I mean, like for me, when I hear those stories, it's like, it's cool. If you have multiples, or you just want to sell it because you're thinking it can't sustain those prices. It'll have to eventually come down to earth. But also as a purely, for me, almost exclusively for a hobbyist, it's kind of frustrating because we know these cards literally a year ago were like 50 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even an exaggeration. That's not me going, oh, it's 50 cents. No, like literally a year ago and change, you could have went to a card shopper show and went through a Bo Jackson stack, and you could have found a whole stack of them and probably got to be like, give me $3 for the stack of cards, whatever. Yeah, $3 out the door. Now those cards, like you said, if you're hitting a 10, you pay the $10 or $12 or whatever it is to get it graded, and now you got a $200 card on your hand. And I mean, it's just. I mean, like,
all this is doing is it's making you like have these conversations with yourself and make decisions on things, basically.
Right.
And like, everything has a different threshold because everything's going to mean more to you than something else, right? And it'll mean different things to different people. But like that Bo Jackson card, to me, like, it's a cool card, but Bo Jackson wasn't my favorite player. Like, I had his rookie too, which I also sold because I'm like, I don't know, it's an iconic card, but am I a Bo Jackson fan? Like, no, not really. Is that really my focus? No. I mean, I'd rather, again, but everybody has that number where it's like, I like it, but not this much. And so, yeah, it makes you like ask yourself that on everything. And sometimes you don't even want to have these conversations. As a collector, you're like, no, wait, no, because that's one that I'm going to keep forever. Like, oh, wait, but it's worth, 1,000 times what I paid for it. I mean, it's just insane. But shouldn't we?
No, I agree.
We have conversations in our head like that about some of these cards,
True. What about you, Andy? Do you see that? I'm sorry, not Andy. I'm Alex. Do you see this message here by Steve?
Yeah.
or my vintage cards. Have you thought about selling your stuff to fund another bigger edition?
I mean, it's a good question, and I think I would probably consider it if I actually had a bigger collection than I do. But I don't really. I mean, I don't really have a big collection at all. Like I've got my Bowman set, and I'm not touching that. Like that's staying where it is for the rest of my life. And I've got a handful of pre-war, a handful of post-war, and not much else. So I don't really have a card in my collection right now that I'm kind of like, well, I like this card, but I'll sell it because it's worth more. I don't really have a card like that. And I was watching a video that Dave made a few days ago, Blue Jacket, and he was saying like, doesn't make much sense to me to sell a card that I really like just so I can buy another card that I also really like. Like I don't have a card right now that I would be that I would be okay with getting rid of just because it's worth more. Like I just went through for the first time in forever and put together like an Excel of all my cards and what I paid for them originally. And pretty much all the cards that I put on that list are worth at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times more what I paid for them originally. But I mean, everybody's list is like that probably right now. Like if anybody in here made a list and you went and you looked at your cards, chances are your card has sold for more than you paid for it. So if you got a card in your collection that you don't really care about, maybe you should sell it. But I'm not in that boat right now.
It's like the one time that it's a weird, bizarro world we live in because your focus is awesome, and I'm always jealous of it because I'd have all my projects finished sooner and probably, and they'd be better too if I just focused on them. But like, I had zero focus for such a long time, and I still struggle with it. So I end up with all this stuff that I'm not necessarily attached to. Like I kind of like everything for a while there.
Yeah.
I still kind of like it.
Now you're busier than I am.
Well, yeah, no, it's like the one time lack of focus has been a benefit. I mean, for a long time, it wasn't that way. I spent so much money on a lot of this stuff, but now I don't know. At least I have something to do. Yeah, like you said.
But idle hand is a devil's plaything.
Here's a crazy one. These here, I picked up a lot for like $25 each. It was a lot of 5, and it was like $125, I think. And that was just like a couple weeks ago, man. And now you can't find one under 75 raw. But I don't know. And then like my PSA 8 went from like the $90 that I paid for it to like $600, $700 last time I looked. It was like $680 or something. And I haven't looked in a couple of days. So yeah, those kinds of things like make you think like, man, I love a Ricky Henderson rookie. It's an awesome card. But like, couldn't I just enjoy this one right here? This is a nice, well-centered example.
Yeah.
Like, do I need the 8 really? Or could I use that for something else in my real life? Or, one of those bucket lists. Like I have 2 53 Bowman colors on my bucket list, Alex. But those are both going to be a big chunk of change. So I got to start thinking about what I'm going to start shooting for next,
What are your bucket list cards in that set?
I like the Reese, I think, is on it. So it's just one of the coolest baseball cards of all time. And that mantle is probably my favorite mantle.
Yeah.
It's just the image is unbelievable. So I those 2 for sure. And then and I'd like to get a nice Spawn too, because I do like that one. I don't have that one.
That is probably my favorite Spawn card.
Yeah, it's a good Spawn.
With the chief, that's the one where he's like with the Chief Wahoo, right? Right, you right in the picture.
Well, not Chief Wahoo, but the Indian headdress.
Indian headdress. Oh, okay.
And Spawn doesn't have a lot of really good. A lot of his cards I'm not necessarily a huge fan of.
Yeah, so, like the 52 tops is kind of creepy. And
oh my God, that creeps me out. Ugh, it's getting shivers. It's like the Scream. It's like the Scream painting or something. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress from what we were talking about. Yeah, black.
Yeah, that's what Andy was saying, or Scott was saying. Andy's lack of focus and direction is paying off in dividends now, big dividends.
It's just blind luck, man.
All right.
Shouldn't do that.
I mean, we've been talking obviously off and on quite a bit about the market and the way the cards are, and we kind of hinted about what that might look like in the future. How long can this sustain? But the one thing I don't know if I get enough. I don't know if enough people I understand. Either they just don't care. Maybe that's the biggest thing. But there doesn't seem that much of a buy-in. Is that when people complain about prices, right? People are like, it's getting ridiculous, but they are the ones contributing to it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you complain about it, but at the same time you're paying the money at those prices. But so if people would actually take a step back and said, as a group, as a large group of people, of consumers, that says, I'm not doing this anymore. This is getting absolutely ridiculous, and pull back on the reins a bit. I think that you would see a lot of this change quite a bit. But I think a lot of people have what's the cool terminology right now? Cool acronym, FOMO.
Yeah.
Everybody's afraid now. Everybody's afraid they're going to miss out, so they don't want to pull back on the reins. But at the same time, they're complaining and moaning about the prices. And it's you can't win. You can't win. I think myself, and I can't speak for both of you guys, but it's like I have the willpower. Like I can just say no. Like a couple of weeks ago, I think I was telling you all privately, or after a Bob or whatever. I walked into a Meijer, and there was like sealed boxes or blasters of like the holiday stuff. There was like some Donruss stuff. There was some other whatever stuff sitting on the shelf, and I just walked past it like I was like, all right, there it is. And most people would be going. People were losing their mind. They'd have been like grabbing everything and taking it,
Yeah.
And I just was walking. I was like, oh, there it is. I can't believe I found some in the wild, but I just kept on going, But I think most people can't do that, even though that's what needs to happen. But people aren't going to do it.
Right.
And then they come back the next week and talk about how the prices are ridiculous and how everybody's buying up all the product, and now we're paying crazy money. And it's like, what's happening right now?
Everybody's just so impatient, man. It's just if everybody just calm down and realize nothing's going anywhere, just wait. Just wait a little while.
I think Gary's right. I think it's not just people. It's not the regular collectors right now. Like there's this whole new group of people that are not interested in collecting. They're not interested in the hobby. They don't really care about baseball. They're prospecting in the sense that like the same way that they would in the stock market. And it's like this whole other demographic that Topps probably doesn't really know what to do with. Like they're not marketing anything towards these people. Like normally Topps would like market to people who are baseball fans or who are fans of a certain player like Tatis or whatever. Like now they have to figure out how do we cater to these people who are like super rich and who are in this for the money. And they're leaving the hobbyists out to dry, I think. So like even if all the hobby people like revolted and said, we're gonna like not buy Topps product, Topps would be like, well, that sucks, but we've got all these other people that are throwing in hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they wouldn't be hurting. I think that's the problem. Is like there's this mysterious group of white collar people that have infiltrated the hobby. Seriously, like a bunch of Mr. Burns.
I don't know, but man, I think that like a lot of these folks, how many times are they willing to get burned? Because they're going to get burned sooner than later if they don't know what they're doing. It takes a long time, like being around the hobby, to really know a decent amount about the hobby. I still feel like an idiot amateur, and I've been back in it for 3 years, but now I know enough to be dangerous. But like it took me a long time to really like kind of pick up on anything. It's so different from when we were kids. So like these people coming back in thinking like, oh yeah, and I'm just going to make a spreadsheet about it and figure it out, and then they'll get burned on trying to do some. I mean, how many times are they willing to get burned? I don't know. I don't know how many of these folks are going to be in it for the long haul. Right. And I think that, some people will like enjoy it and stick around, and then those are the people that'll be collectors eventually. Right. But I don't know. I just think 90% of the new people won't stick. Even then, the hobby will more than double probably, but it won't be like. It's just in the national news right now, and it's it's everywhere right now, and it's just like the hottest whole thing, that's makes it weird.
this the thing that bothers me is, and I mean, I know sounds like probably such an like ODB, but this is the reality of it. Is that when I was listening to Bench Clear, and Mike had that Jameson guy on, whatever his name is, something Jameson or Jameson, Blake Jameson, I think, right?
Yep.
You know, and I'm watching and listening to it, and he seemed like a great guy. I mean, it's cool, great artist for sure. But then, I mean, I don't follow a lot of the new stuff. But then he mentions that apparently Snoop Dogg is doing a whole set of artwork or something, and I'm like, this is the world we live in, dude. The guy who's like slinging weed and talking about Martha Stewart making apple pie with Martha Stewart. And like doing jumping off the top rope at AEW wrestling now. Now he's an artist. And I mean, this is the world we live in right now, that Tops is bringing in somebody like that who, to my knowledge, has no artistic ability whatsoever unless it's behind a microphone.
Right.
Now he's like all of a sudden doing baseball cards. And I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, this is the world we live in. Like, that's the stuff that irks me. I know that's probably, maybe I'm in the minority when it comes to that stuff. But it's just very frustrating when you see stuff like that in the hobby where, you know, he doesn't have no interest in it. When did he ever have any interest in baseball or sports cards? I've never heard of anything. I mean, you know, just because you wear an Oakland A's hat backwards doesn't mean you're a fan.
I mean, the reason that Snoop Dogg got that position is exactly what's happening right now, because it gets everybody to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was some like legitimate artist, everybody would be like, who's that? And nobody would care, right? But because it's some like completely ridiculous choice, everybody talks about it. And like so many companies now, like that's the name of the game. It's like, what kind of sensationalist BS can we do to get everybody to talk about us? Not because it's a good choice, but because it's ridiculous. And
I mean, his first card's gonna be Mike Trout with a blunt in his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna be the first card. I mean, you know, it's like, come on, dude, seriously. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But like, that's the kind of stuff that just makes me just, you know, shake my head and just go, what are we asking for? Is this what we're asking for as a hobby?
I mean,
like,
Tops is a business like anybody else, and they're gonna play all the dirty games to like, you know, make as much money as they can. I have nothing against Tops or anything like that, but I mean they're just doing what any other company would do nowadays.
Yeah, they're out there to make a profit, so they're gonna do it.
Yeah. And watch, I'm like talking all the smack, and I'll end up having the whole Snoop Dogg run of cards. That's what it's gonna happen. It'll be blunt-tastic. So we'll see. But yeah, so I don't know, man.
At least he is a sports fan, though. I mean, you know, and he may have been, who knows? He may have been into cards at one point. He had that Netflix show where he was like a football coach or like a
what?
Like a league head football coach or something like that.
No, I haven't kept up with Snoop since like the mid-90s. So
this has been a while ago.
The Dog Pound. Yeah, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I just feel like what's next? Ariana Grande doing cards, Justin Bieber. Like what do we have next?
Yeah,
that's the direction we're going next. I mean, we're gonna have marshmallow cards. I mean, like they're all gonna be on DJs rapping and stuff on the cards and stuff now. And I don't know.
As far as I'm concerned, the more stuff like that, the better, because like I don't care about any of that, and that'll just take attention away from baseball, and then we can all get back to our lives, you know. And
that's true. I mean, that's a good point.
The more crazy shit, the better. And let's leave the boring baseball stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, something I've been thinking about, and I mean, I'm a big fan of oddball cards, you know, and sports cards in general are very, very, is very common, especially back in the 80s and 90s, where like, you know, oddball cards would show up in the most ridiculous, you know, products. And I've been doing that a lot with wrestling cards as well. But I came across something recently, and I wanted to ask you all, what's your like most, to your knowledge, either you see with your own eyes or you've heard about it or whatever, somebody's brought to your attention, the oddest sports card connected to a product. And so I found one recently, and it was wrestling cards that were inserted into Swanson TV dinners.
Oh, nice.
Dinners, nice.
And I was like, they were great looking cards. I mean, they weren't like, you know, chintzy looking like garbage. They were like black borders with like a great, you know, clear image. They have like, you know, Hogan and Macho Man and Andre and all that stuff. But I was like, that has to be one of the weirdest things that you're getting ready to crack open your Swanson 1985, you know, TV dinner with your metal tray that you put out in front of yourself when you're watching the game, and when you're scrolling it out, you got a baseball or you got a wrestling card right there looking at you, and it's like it's in the freezer. You know what I'm saying? They had like this like cellophane pack around it or whatever. Right. But it's like, what other oddball, you know, cards can you all think of that you're thinking, man, maybe that's not a gimmick you'd see much anymore nowadays, or maybe they need to bring it back.
Right. That's a good question, but I love that's such good marketing, because like the demographic of like the guy that buys the frozen food, right? Like that's perfect marketing. I don't know.
Exactly.
Vintage oddball cards is in here. So
yeah, he heard his name and he came running. He was like, "Do they say oddball?"
Rick just
appeared. He knows all about that life.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
You all can't think of any? Do you all think it's cool to bring it? Would you all think it'd be cool to bring it back though? To have him like show up and some of your favorite sports players' cards show up in like a Pop-Tarts box, or like inside of a Mountain Dew case.
Do you think, you wonder if the tobacco companies are like just clamoring to get back in right now?
all of a sudden we all become tobacco users, but we just buy them cards and then we throw it away or whatever.
Like, we started this, dang it! And they're just like locked out now. They can't.
Dude, yeah. I mean, if there were some really nice cards out there that you could only get in like food products, I'd probably just get into whatever that food product was. Sure. Just like, okay, now
Are you into Happy Meals? Apparently there's a big
Yeah. Earlier in the conversation, Alex said he didn't want to be like that guy that takes all the wax off the shelves and be that douchebag. But then he's the guy in the drive-thru at McDonald's is like, I'm gonna eat 8 kids meals, 4 boys and 4 girls, kids meals, so you can get all the different cards on there. Like they're like honking, like, shut up! I'm getting my Happy Meals. I gotta get all these Acunas and all these Tatis Junior rookie cards.
And it'd be worth it. And with the cheeseburger too. So
yeah.
Golly.
Oh man. Yeah, I always thought I was always thinking. Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's just making me hungry. But I saw like Pino put a picture up that had a sign that said limit 15 Happy Meals per car or vehicle or something like that. I had no idea that was going on until I saw that little picture you put up. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just think it'd be cool to bring back oddball cards to products. I think, it's a lost art form that you don't see much anymore. I mean, it still happens to, I think it's more like regional. Like sometimes like Cincinnati Reds will do like a Reds with the Cons hot dogs or something. So they'll do like once a year, they'll have like a Cons pack that you can pick up at the stadium at that game. They'll be like 25,000 sealed packs of Con team baseball cards or whatever. But it's just not as common as it used to be, where you could just go to like any, Piggly Wiggly and pick up all kinds of stuff that might be in different products or whatnot.
I really wouldn't be surprised if like this summer some company tried to do it, just based on like how much baseball cards have gotten back into like.
That's true. You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first.
Back to this.
We were right, exactly. This live stream, somebody in Kraft right now or Hershey's Chocolates listening in, and they're going to show up in their product or whatever. So probably Snoop Dogg will have an idea, and he'll have it in his rolling papers in his product or whatever. So, oh my gosh, yeah, I always think about that. But so the question I have next would be is that baseball starting, as you all know, pitchers and catchers are there. Has there been any big surprises in this offseason that you guys are excited about or not excited about that's happened? Either with somebody's moving to a different team or like I saw the news yesterday or the day before that the Orioles have a 0 chance of getting into the playoffs. Like they across the board, they said they have no chance of making it. Just things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the Orioles. It's like a cool franchise that just is like in the dumpster. I mean, I'm like the last time we talked about this, I was wondering what the Phillies were going to do. Thankfully, they signed JT Realmuto, and they got McCutchen back, and they got some decent arms for the bullpen. We'll see if that pans out. Like, it actually seems like they're trying, whereas like a few months ago, the managers, the general manager, and everybody else was kind of making it. They were like really downplaying and moves or whatever. So they're at least making an effort. So we'll see if it pans out. But the National League East is a really stronger division than it normally is. So with those Braves, especially,
we should be looking pretty decent. So I haven't been keeping up as much with all the moves. I typically don't in the off season. And work's just been really busy, so I haven't been keeping up with much. But I guess the moves I'm most excited about are just that a couple guys are coming back for us, like Ozuna. We got him for another year. I think he was awesome last year. And then Soroka says he's going to be ready to go. He tore his Achilles. So I feel like, if we could have a not beat up starting rotation, we're going to be just fine. And so that's what I'm excited about. Fingers crossed.
And to answer your question, vintage cards, Joey Votto, honestly, even though I'm here in Indiana and the most people would be Reds fans, probably a lot of Indiana if they're not Cubs fans, to be quite honest. But Joey Votto doesn't really get a lot of love. I mean, I don't hear. I mean, I go to a lot of shows. I go to a lot of card shops, and you see Joey Votto stuff out there, but no one's really clamoring for it. I mean, of course, like his rookie cards, do pretty good. But I mean, there's not like a lot of Joey Votto there's not like a lot of fans for Joey Votto, quite frankly. But I think the Reds have he's just not a flashy character. Like no one really cares about Joey Votto. I don't even know if the Reds care about Joey Votto anymore, quite frankly. But he's still there till I think I don't know, he's like 85 or something at this point.
Joey Votto, I just looked. He's he won an MVP in 2010.
Right.
So
he's rode that for the last decade, that MVP. So
everybody's memory is too short. Nobody remembers that anymore. But it's just like some players just the hobby doesn't care about. Like, and Freddie Freeman was always one of them until he won the MVP in the craziest year ever, and that's the only reason. Otherwise, like he was the same under the radar type of good, future Hall. Now Votto, he's been playing a little longer, and I don't know how many. He's 36. Freeman's got some more time left, but like I think Freeman's I think if he can stay healthy, he'll be a legit shot at the Hall. So,
I think he'll have a legit. I don't like Votto as a person. I think last year ruined it for me. He just got too. I'm not going to take this conversation too deep in the woods because I don't want to drag you all into my personal conversations with how I feel. But he got way too political, and I think that was a bad look for him. Cincinnati is really not ever been known to be like a real political area. You're surrounded by Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. They're not the most bastions of like super political talk. And I think he hurt himself a lot there with people. But as far as his on-field, I mean, every year he's been going down. And the Reds and him say every year, oh, this is a bounce-back year. He's been working on stuff. And, he's back. He got a swing back or he's changed his swing or there's a mechanical issue with the swing. And, and it's, the outcome's the same. It's still the same results. Like he's subpar. But he has a contract that's like, a millstone around so many, ball clubs. When you pay somebody for their past heroics, but then they drag your club down to the bottom of the ocean because that contract. That's kind of like him. Ken Griffey Jr. was the same way. Like the Reds paid for Ken Griffey Jr. on Jr. from Seattle Mariners Jr. And then they were stuck with it for a decade and change, and then he had a couple productive seasons, and then the rest of the time it was like a broken down old horse, So, but they had to keep paying him, so it is what it is.
Yeah, he's had a rough past couple of years. It looks like.
Yeah, he has not. Yeah, he has not had a good. But the thing is, unfortunately, the Reds, and it's like their story. They always is the same as either they have pitching that's really good and their hitting can't get on board, or their hitting is incredible and their pitching can't get on board. They never ever fire at the same time. It's always one or the other. So it's just. It's at this point, being a Reds fan, it's just like,
I like how much Votto walks. I never realized that about him. Like, he's led the league in on-base percentage 7 times, and he's led the league in walks 5 times. That's pretty.
Yeah, I think like the smart man's bet has been like based on he's going to be like the first like sabermetrics darling that had played his whole career underneath sabermetrics because of supposedly his percentages are like crazy. At least it was a couple years ago. They're saying he'll be like one of the very first that's going to get purely based in the Hall of Fame based on his statistics more than anything else. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess, how it plays out. But
I don't know. He's not even to 300 home runs or 2,000 hits yet, and he should be because he's got a career average over 300. But he's been beat up a couple years, and then he's kind of falling off he's like falling off the cliff here the last couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope he keeps plummeting to the bottom. That's what I hope for. All the way to the bottom. Crash and burn.
Taking y'all with him.
Taking us all with him, exactly. But so Alex, are you I don't know Andy. I don't know how Andy feels about this, but we talked about this a little bit before. Are you thinking that if everything falls into place, that the Nationals an option for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want it to be. I got to figure out if it's feasible. But I mean, it's definitely like something I want to have happen for sure. I'll put it this way: if I wasn't there and the National goes down, I would more than regret it. I'd be like, man, it's gonna hurt to look at YouTube and see all you guys having fun and be missing it. So. If anybody in here has not been to the National, it's definitely got to be put on your list of things to do, and not just like once. Like I feel like this is going to be something I want to do every year because it's more than just the cards. It's like this. It's kind of like summer camp for YouTube. It's like if that's like you just get to hang out with everybody that you watch all the time on YouTube and like see them in person and. You just like it was so much fun. It went by so quick. I was so disappointed when it was over. I could have like had another week of it. So yeah, to answer your question, yes.
And then Andy, did you say you're going to try to do it, or that's just not in the cards for you this year?
I'd like to. I could probably work out the time off work with no problems. If it's going down and if I can plan to do it far enough in advance. I think. I'll be going for what Alex was just talking about, though, because I missed it 2 years ago. So I don't want to miss it again. I want to meet everybody. Alex, the only person I've met in the community, and and we met. I'm blanking on his name right now. Kyle, maybe? No. Guy came into town.
Oh, Chris. Yeah.
Chris. Yeah. Sorry.
Who doesn't have a channel anymore? What the heck?
Yeah, he kind of stopped making videos.
Yeah. He used to
Vintage Modern Collector, Chris Brandon.
Yep.
That's it, Chris, yeah. I don't know where I got Kyle from, but anyway, but I want to meet more people. So yeah, I would definitely try to go if it's happening, and I can't wait for more details and see what tickets look like. And I heard somebody saying that there's probably a real chance that this thing sells out. I mean, they may have limitations in place. Maybe it was on one of your streams, Jason, actually. But, like, they may have limitations in place for attendance. And, like, I imagine the demand is going to be through the roof. And I hope that those of us who want to go, will be able to go. So I'll be on it early, when the information is out.
Yeah, I'm interested to know because I would assume, I could be wrong, but as of right now, Chicago is not known to be the most open area of the United States. So I would assume they're going to have maybe they might even have a limited amount of people that can even be there, right. And so, and like you said, with the demand being higher than ever, possibly, and then they might have a cap on how many people can be, if they're going to put a cap on how many people can go to an outdoor baseball event, you better believe they're going to put a cap on how many people can go to an indoor sporting card event. Right. So I mean, so I think there has a lot of truth to that. But to me, quite honestly, if you pay for a ticket and you don't get your money's worth, that's a problem. But if you're just going, if you're like me, who I just want to go and hang out with everybody, like I'm not going to go that show thinking I'm going to spend money on cards. I just want to go hang out. So, I'm more than happy just to hang out with everybody and then maybe go a day or two and then that'd be fine. Like my thing is more hanging out with everybody. But, I know most people go with the idea of, hey, I want to go and look around and spend money on cards. That's what that's there for. Yeah. And hanging out with people is cool too. But if they're going to limit the amount of interaction you can do on the floor, that really changes up people's approaches, I think. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, part of the fun of the national. Well, I've only done it once, but it's, as everybody always says, it's like so huge that it's overwhelming. And so if you are going to go, you should definitely plan for at least a few days if you can do it. But part of the fun of it is like actually walking the floor with YouTubers. Like, you start off with, a couple guys. Like last year I walked around a lot with like B-Roth, Six and Maxa Jackson. But every now and then I'd like run into like Nuff Said Cards, or I ran into Scotty Tradition. He's in here. And, I ran into Jason Cub Fan, like just random people here and there. He's like, hey, how's it going? And like you walk with them for a little bit and like they're looking for certain cards. You kind of help them out. And then you run into somebody else. And like, that's part of the fun. So it's like, you're looking at cards, you're trying to find stuff, but you're also like just enjoying looking around at other stuff that like you're not even necessarily interested in, but it's just fun to help another YouTuber look for what they're going for. But
sure.
But if I don't know what the clampdown is going to be like, or if there will be one, but yeah, that would suck. I mean, like part of the fun is just being able to look through all the different booths and everything else. So.
I mean, my thinking is that I would love to hang out with everybody. We walk around, like you said, peruse the aisles together. But when it's time to make a purchase, I'm going to be like, so Andy, where's your credit card? I need you to buy this for me.
We'll probably go with like one. Now, maybe if I can time it right, I would like have one card left for my 62 set and buy it at the National. I kind of had that idea before. Like that'd be good.
Yeah.
Which would be like a raw 62 card. And I mean, it could be, it could be whatever. It could be the Mickey Mantle. I mean, it could be a big one that I don't have yet in there. I have some.
It could be a Marilyn Monroe rookie card. I mean, from 1960 something. I mean, this is her rookie card. We got rookies for everything now.
No, it could be one of my other bucket lists, or it could be like the last one in my 62 set or something like that. But it won't be much. It won't be much. That's for sure. I'll be there.
Right.
Like Alex said, that's kind of cool though, because you could always still walk around and be looking at everything and be helping somebody else out. So
yeah, I think. I always love helping other people out. Like that to me would be more fun than me even looking for myself, is to keep a lookout for what you guys might be looking for. Because obviously every pair or every set of eyes that are on the lookout for something it brings the level of finding it up higher and higher. When you have a few people keeping a lookout for you, opposed to just you yourself. Since it sounds like things could be like literally needles and haystacks at these shows because it's like so massive.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I got my mantle at the National, and part of the fun was people knew that I was looking for it. So I'd get a text like, "Hey, man, come to booth whatever in this part," and like I found one. Come take a look at it, and I'd come take a look and whatever, and we talk about the condition, and like it was just fun, like knowing that people were like looking out for you, and I would do the same for somebody else. It's like. That's you can't replicate that anywhere else. I mean, like, we send each other like eBay links and stuff now, which is cool.
Sure.
there's so much more to it when you can like do it in person.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sending you all that Lenny Dykstra jockstrap for months. And
Always and
no takers on that yet.
one of these days.
One of these days. Oh man,
that 53 brochure was one of the coolest. Since I can't really talk in our little thing, that thing is so cool. That's like one of the coolest things I've seen. I wish I could just drop that kind of dough.
Oh, the 53 tops, yeah.
Yeah, the advertisement. I mean, with the Bob Feller advertisement, that thing's awesome.
Yeah. And like there's so little of that because all that stuff got thrown away. So
that's like my favorite 53 card. I want it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there you go. That's the national 2021 for you.
That could be the one. That one's not totally unreasonable. So that'd be a good one to have for.
All right, you can sell your Aaron and go get that.
Never selling that, man. Never selling that. Not a chance.
That's awesome. Well, hey guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. We've been on about an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to overstay our welcome with the interwebs, but I really appreciate you both hanging out, and hopefully everybody else enjoyed it. I mean, we were like getting up to 22, 23 people on a random Monday night, so that's pretty good. So I appreciate you all popping in and hanging out with us. Hope you all enjoyed. It was a good conversation. I got to thank both you, Alex and Andy, both, because you both said, hey, let's do something. And then they're like, let's all do something, but Jason, you do it. So it's like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, let's do it. So I think it worked out great. So I appreciate it, guys.
Dude, your channels come to have chats about baseball cards. So that's
for sure.
Yeah. Well, you all made it worth it. I had a great time. And so thank you again. I appreciate it. We'll do it again here. I'm sure down the road soon enough.
All right. See you guys.
Right on.
All right. See ya. Thanks.
See y'all.
Oh.